So a new set of uploads with the JFK stuff just came out, and now I know that Kennedy was really serving the British Empire, just another communist. Because really what they wanted with the CIA, because as I've said, the stuff I've read from the CIA regarding the Cold War, they would have people that were like other countries wanting them to interfere, and they didn't want to. Now, that said, they did operate Free Radio Europe, but they weren't doing anything here. However, that all changed because of Kennedy. Kennedy wanted it to be, I'm going to highlight some stuff here, okay? This is just where it all started. Kennedy Board, 1961, considerations of covert action matters by President Kennedy's Foreign Intelligence Advisory Board. Really, what all he did was he just complicated it, made it worse, all to bring it under globalism. And they had the damn FBI involved in this, because back then the FBI's changed their name so many times, like 3 times in their history. So back then it was Bureau of Investigation, BOI, I think, yeah. They were involved in this, all like just talking about, like really putting down the CIA. And I'm reading this yelling out bullshit, not from what I've read. The FBI's the problem. But no, you want to talk about them being covert. They just wanted to get control of it and take away power from them. And that's what they did. Basically, what they did was they took a bunch of power away from the CIA, took it on themselves, okay, the Kennedy and his whole group, and then it just really disempowered them while putting them down. When really the FBI again should be blown to smithereens. So you could see a consensus of the board that the CIA was placing too much stress upon covert action activities with insufficient emphasis placed upon the acquisition of intelligence. It's almost like they just wanted to know all their methods, and then likely the FBI had it all. Again, because the CIA operates, protecting us from outside. Later on in the discussion, good old Kennedy wanted to make sure to protect himself. Later on in the discussion, the president commented on a suggestion that he not be publicly identified with clandestine or covert action activities, saying that he thought this raised questions about the desirability of setting up the White House staff a special assistance for intelligence. But that's what you were doing. That's what he was doing. Mr. Bundy, all these people in his staff were no good. Mr. Bundy thought it would be all right to establish such a position, provided that a special assistant was himself not publicly identified with any responsibility for covert operations. The whole reason this was supposed to be separate is so that they're not connected. So now Kennedy is making himself connected. This is the reason things got worse. That's what I mean. Everything Kennedy did, everything he did hurt America. But this tells it all. So, and what this means here, this NSC 5412, that means it's not traceable back to the U.S. government. But that operated outside. That did fall under the CIA, but using it like with Cuba. But of course, Kennedy ruined that too with the Bay of Pigs. And then ripping on them about so many things. And no, if you go read how the CIA was giving these briefings, they were giving them on every country and what was going on. And so you could see here this is what the State Department to take a position without knowledge of the extent and nature of the CIA resources that would be involved. Mr. Hilsman went on to say that he favored reorganizing the CIA along the general lines of the British intelligence system. Oh, well, that just tells you everything you need to know about JFK. Shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, his dad was the ambassador to Britain. Yeah, and then put it under the Department of State. And he would require that the State Department exercise policy control over all aspects of intelligence, including political, psychological, propaganda, paramilitary, and related covert activities. Well, no wonder. No wonder you give this shit to the State Department, and yeah, no longer ethical. Gets even better, though. During an extensive session on October 17th, 1961, Board Chairman Killian suggested that board members give serious thought to the CIA's use of foundations as covers for operations, and he cited the Asia Foundation and the International Commission of Jurists as examples. Oh, of course. Dr. Killian felt that there is danger that the entire foundation system in the U.S. would be discredited if there were a disclosure of CIA's connection with them. It was Dr. Killian's view that the CIA should not place clandestine cover on any student. But do you understand? So this is such a fine line, because a lot of what the CIA was dealing with, not here, but what they saw going into Cuba, were these socialist student organizations, which is what we have all over. Those are the people you've seen the past 4 years marching with Hamas, because they go getting indoctrinated into no longer the education system university. It's just an indoctrination camp. That's what it's become since Kennedy, okay? So that even though it seems like, well, yeah, they shouldn't be, but when you read what was happening there with all these students going, that's why the CIA was trying to prevent that, from going on, so that it wouldn't get in here. But of course, that's what Kennedy wanted. That's why he paid for 2 flights of Kenya students to come here. Traitor. And he felt that it would be very serious should it become known that the National Student Federation, for example, was being financed by the CIA as a cover organization. Dr. Langer expressed agreement with this, but felt that the CIA would be justified in using foundations as a cover in combating communist influence from these people who were communists. See, they were. That's what they didn't like about the CIA. The CIA was they were trying to protect us from that. The FBI goes the other direction, though. But felt that the CIA would be justified in using foundations as a cover in combating communist influence in such activities as labor unions. Mr. Clifford thought that perhaps Dr. Killian's concerns with regard to educational foundations might be possibly met by the use of cutoff organizations between the CIA and foundations as a means of concealing CIA financial support to the foundations. Mr. Coyne reminded board members of the board's recommendations of last July and all existing covert action programs reviewed by the Special NCS 5412. Nevertheless, the cover foundations, which are in fact influenced by CIA, continue to do legitimate work. If, for example, in the case of labor training, schools supported by the Asia Foundation in Pakistan, and in the case of a teacher training grant in the University of Rangoon, on and on. And then they did ask Kennedy to fix the public image that he put on the CIA, but of course he didn't. But see here, it says they transferred all of what the CIA was doing over to the U.S. Special Forces. communists. That's who the Kennedy administration was.